This is going to be a love-hate video where there's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of bad. So let's jump right into it. Yesterday, the pay-per-view prices, yes, pay-per-view prices were released on April the 15th for Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero card. We're going to talk about that. And Canelo versus Scull card. William Scull for the IBF Undisputed Championship on May the 3rd. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero card is going to be on the 2nd in Times Square. Together, combined, they're $89.99. Now, let me tell you what you're getting for that $89.99 and tell me how you feel about that. So for $89.99 on one card, you're going to get Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barboza, Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez. Let me pull up here on the screen. And Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero on pay-per-view in Times Square. We're still waiting for information on how they're going to put that card together, what it's going to look like outside and logistically, if is it going to be free for the fans? Are they going to charge exclusive tickets to be close to the ring? It's going to be on the Friday night in Times Square. So I can't, in the late spring, May the 2nd, I can't even imagine the atmosphere. Right now it's April the 16th, by the way. So that fight's in just a little over 2 weeks away. The other card is going to be Martin Piccoli, F.A. Ajagba, Jaime Munguia versus Bruno Saras 2, Bottle Jack versus Noel McCallion for the WBC Cruiserweight title, and Saul Canelo Alvarez going for two-time undisputed against William Scull, where he's going to be fighting to add the IBF title back to his collection. So that's 2 cards, 2 nights, one in New York, one in Saudi Arabia, and combined they are $89.99. $59.99 a piece if you don't buy them together. Canelo pay-per-views have been running $80 and $85.99. I'm trying to figure out which fight was $85.99. I mean $84.99. Correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say his fights are $80, $79.99. Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, if I'm correct, wasn't that $69.99? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that pay-per-view didn't do very well or as high as expectations. So you're getting all of those fights, and we're going to talk about the bad in a minute. You're getting all of those fights, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meaningful fights. The least meaningful of all 3 of these fights, really, I mean, of all 7 of these fights, really, is Piccoli versus F.A. Ajagba, because there's no title on the line. But Munguia versus Saras, that's a rematch of an upset. Bottle Jack versus McCallion, big implications on the cruiserweight division, is actually unifying the WBC and the WBC champion in recess, situation. With Ryan Rozicki being the interim champion who was supposed to be in the mix. You have Canelo going to get undisputed again. Now, I don't like this fight, by the way. I talked about this yesterday in my video on how I felt about Canelo versus William Scull, but nonetheless, there's something behind it. Canelo will be the first two-time undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. And also, how many undisputed in the same division 2-time champions have there been throughout history when it was 3 belts or even 2 belts? Somebody remind me, or where are the boxing historians? Then on the other card, you have Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barboza. Well, Teofimo Lopez smacked Arnold Barboza. This has been a fight that's been talked about for years. It's going to be for the 140 WBO title. And wait a minute, hold on. Let me check something real quick. I'm missing something here. Hold on 1 minute. Let's do a little bit of a jump cut. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, drop a like. Follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy, and all the links to my social media are right down below. I was just making sure. I don't know why I forgot, even though I covered when they both won their titles. But yes, Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza, they're going to be unifying the WBO and the interim champion belts. Now, the other fight Other fights, Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. Well, both of these fighters, by the way, it's taking place at a catch weight of 144 pounds, not the 147. According to Devin Haney, it's still taking place at 144, even though Robert Garcia is saying 147. But Devin Haney came out to say it's going to be at 144. Either way, it's going to be a 147 max fight. And it's both of their first fights at 147 pounds. Devin Haney, we don't know how he's going to look after getting shellacked by Ryan Garcia. Whatever state Ryan Garcia was in, Devin Haney got beat up. Jose Ramirez, he'd been looking kind of washed or not really in the game anymore. Maybe it's just the weight. That's the question. Maybe him moving up to 147 is going to rejuvenate him. That fight is meaningful because whatever happens to whoever loses, it's over. It's going to be over, at least on the high level. And Devin Haney, if he loses, he's going to get it the worst. And then, of course, Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero. Now, here's the thing. We don't know if Ryan Garcia is even going to make it into the ring. He's got a lot of things he's got to take care of. And also, he's got to pass some drug tests and he's got to make weight. There's no titles on the line, but this is supposed to lead to a rematch with Devin Haney if they both win. Rolly Romero, he's just there pretty much for Ryan Garcia to look good. And also, Rolly is a funny guy. He hasn't been too charismatic during the build-up to this fight, the press tours and everything, but still, he's got a puncher's chance, and pretty much that's about it. So back to the pay-per-view. Now, remember, DAZN with Turki Al-Sheikh has been trying to like lower pay-per-view prices, you know, having them at a reasonable price, $22, $30. For example, the last Crescendo, this amazing card right here, headlined by Artur Beterbiev versus Bivol 2, generated 340,000 pay-per-view buys at about $30. What was it, 25, right? At about $25. Now let's go look at that card. As you can see, pretty solid card for $25.99 here in the States. Virgil Ortiz, Israel Madrimov, Carlos Adames, Hamza Shiraz. Of course, the headliner, Beterbiev Bivol 2. Bawati versus Colin Smith. Zheli Zhang versus Ijit Kabiel. That's, you know, Joseph Parker, Martin Piccoli, Shakur Stevenson versus that. You know, here's the problem I have with a lot of boxing fans these days. I don't know how we got to a point in this sport where we put so much into, oh, well, you know, this ain't selling like that. $25, y'all thought y'all was doing something. What kind of weird, like what kind of weird, that's a thing on social media where it's like, y'all paid $25 for this. This is supposed to be the biggest card of all time. How come it ain't selling? That's a whole rabbit hole of bullshit logic I don't want to go like down, because we were getting a lot. Let's not forget, right? On New Year's Day, was it 2021 or 2022? I believe it was 2021. New Year's Day, we paid for Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin on pay-per-view for $50. New Year's Day. To this day. I've paid for thousands and thousands of dollars of pay-per-views. I'm talking about shit on Triller, Cloud TV, when that was a thing. I'm talking about some, you know, thousands. Fight.tv before it was Triller. So to hear people bitching about a card like this for $25, nah. Now, this brings me back to this. DAZN started out as a pay-per-view is dead. A few years ago, they started doing pay-per-views. We know DAZN is bleeding money. Having an independent boxing platform is just not working like it used to. Luckily for me, I signed a contract where I get DAZN for $10 a month now. Thank God. I signed up for a deal. I forgot how long it lasts. But I remember, I'll be honest with you, I used to beta test for DAZN. I would get like DAZN for free for like years, for like 2 years, I think I got it. And I would like do little tests in the website, see how everything worked and everything. But long story short, I didn't like their business practices of how they used to be stealing people money. That was a whole thing where you couldn't cancel your subscription and their customer service was just so trash. So there is the problem of them charging for pay-per-views in the first place. But let's be honest. If this was another pay-per-view platform, if they had the money to do it, PBC would have made Canelo versus Skull for $80. Golden Boy would have made Canelo versus Skull for $80. They only bitching and complaining about it now because they don't have the money to do it. And people would have ate it up. The same people that say, "Oh, the zone, this and that," would have been really streaming it because they don't pay for pay-per-views. Garcia versus Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero headlined against Tank. You think that if PBC didn't have Tank, I mean, if you think that if PBC had Ryan Garcia, they wouldn't have did Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero on pay-per-view? And this is not whataboutism. I'm doing comparing of like, it's like, all right, you can look at it like, all right, there is $60. But at the same time, y'all was giving us pay-per-views for $30 or $25. I mean, yeah, it's not the $480. It's $20 off, but you're getting two. It depends on how you look at it. It depends on how you look at it. But for these two cards, $119, or well, put it this way, $90 for 7 fights of significance. Let's go look at them again. And let's say if this was on one card. Let's put the fights together. Canelo's going to be the main event. It would be Canelo versus Skull, right? Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero. Who would you put third? Would you put Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barboza? Because that's a belt. And then I would do, get this out of here. I would do Badu Jack versus Noah McCallion because it's another title. Then I would do Haney versus Ramirez. Then I would do Munguia Saras and open the pay-per-view with Bacoli versus F.A. Jog, but two heavyweights getting it going. So let's go with the pay-per-view again, right? Then let's say if it's all on one card. You got Canelo versus Skull, Ryan Garcia versus Romero, Teofimo versus Arnold Barboza, Badu Jack versus McCallion, Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez, Jaime Munguia versus Bruno Saras, and open up $89.99 Martin Bacoli versus F.A. Jogba. So that's the good logic. You can look at it that way. But buying them individually, you're kind of cheating yourself. But then again, in this day and age of streaming, fans don't give a shit about this. Pay-per-view everywhere is dying. Everywhere. UFC is struggling with it too, to the point where they would give out bonuses if you've reached a certain amount of pay-per-view buys, but they ain't been reaching them. People thought that Ryan Garcia riding off the wave of Devin Haney would be like some big significant fight. But in reality, 400,000 pay-per-view buys or something like that, still, it was better than Tank's return outing. For example, here was Tank Davis's numbers, which is pretty solid numbers for him to fight Lamont Roach. For Lamont Roach in March, and the reported numbers were about 260,000 pay-per-view buys. For context, here it is. For context, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia did 300,000 pay-per-view buys according to Oscar De La Hoya, and Oscar De La Hoya was clowning that. Canelo Berlanga did 650,000 pay-per-view buys. Davis and Roach did 260,000. And you can expect for the rematch, now that Roach was controversy, now that Roach is a bigger name, you can expect for the rematch to do, I'm going to say 300 north. How much combined, first of all, how do they even make their money back? That's another thing. But what do we care about that? Because, of course, all right, you can say, they're paying for the services to Canelo. They're going to, Initiative 2030, which is the Saudis are working on. But when it comes to this card, the Saudis been paying money. How you think they're getting up? They're buying up everything. You don't hear no boxers bitching or complaining. They are paying them well and keeping them active. So what do we care? These pay-per-views are flopping, this flopped and this flopped and all that. Let's see here. 25, what's 340? Let me do a little bit of crude math here. And these So that's worldwide buys, okay? Worldwide buys. Okay, so let me see here. Make sure I got my zeros right. 340,000. Okay. So 25 bucks. Let's just say if it's worldwide, everywhere, 25 bucks. 340,000 pay-per-view buys, that's 85 million. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, shit. 8.5 million. My Lord, that's disgusting. So, wait, am I reading that right? The zeros are kind of spinning around. You know, you have too many zeros. It looks like you got to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, so you got to think. Now it's rumored that Bivol and we're talking about not the numbers that are coming out, that, you know, because we know there's the official money that they're supposed to put on paper and they get money after that. But it's been heavily rumored that if you're headlining a Saudi event, you're making at least 10 million. That's at the low end, when you got Fury and Usyk making 40 million and 50 million apiece. So they're losing significant money. No matter, I mean, whatever you can say, the Saudis got, oh, they got infinite printable money. At the same time, you don't want to be losing this type of money, gang, without a plan. But the plan is to buy up boxing and eventually get these fighters on a pay scale. So either way, regardless, I'm going to be here buying the fight. I just always find it distasteful when the zone like told us that shit was going to be free. And then it's like, you know. But I wonder, like, if they did put this stuff for free, I mean, through the DAZN subscription, how much pay-per-view buys would it drive up? I mean, not drive up pay-per-view buys, subscription sales, because that's what they really want. With that being said, I'm TstreeT Controversy with FightView 360. I've did preview videos for all of the Ryan Garcia, Romero card. My first preview video for Canelo versus Scull is on the page, and I'm going to do a preview video for all the fights I haven't done like I did in the old days. So you can expect the Munguia versus Saraz video next. Then I'll go Badu, Jack, Noah McCallie, and then Bakoli versus Ajagba. And we're going to keep it there. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy. The links are down below in the description box. Thanks for watching. Drop a like. See you guys later.